Lord. I need to be reassured. Just a word from you, Lord. Give me strength to endure. I need to know that in spite of all my faults, that you will always be there to wrap your loving arms around me. So come on, Lord, speak to me, Jesus. Come on. Hey, y'all. Hey. I know I just gave y'all 34 seconds of me singing Speak to Me, Jesus. Because I like that song. I used to love to sing background in that song with my sisters when we would go off to sing at all these different places. That was one of my favorite songs to sing. But hey, what's up? It is Sunday, and I have been sitting in the car for a while, and I thought, why not just get on the podcast and let out some of the stuff that you're thinking about? And because it is Sunday, it's a good Sunday. I enjoy church today, but there's always something in the church going on, okay? So, let me just start off by saying this. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. If somebody wants to put me up wherever they want to put me up at, I got no problem with the gospel. I got no problems with people knowing that I follow Christ. No problems at all. And on that note, having said that, I just realized that there are so many idiots up in the church thinking that they're going to get away with doing what they're doing to God's people, his real people. Because you got to understand, there are flower pots in the church. What do I mean by flower pots? So let me just tell y'all what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is these deceivers that stand up in the church and proclaim that they really are followers of Christ, but their actions are more like the devil. And that's what I see. The actions are more like the devil. The mocking, the deceiving, the facial expressions, the looks, the sounds. It's not a heavenly sound. And I know I talk about this every time. Not every time, but I talked about it last time I was on the podcast because I don't like to see people get done wrong. I don't care. You can do me wrong all you want, because I know at the beginning, the middle, and the end, I know who my Savior is. But there are a lot of people out here who don't know that, who have not built themselves up or studied in that area to get to that point where they can say, you know what, talk about me just as much as you please. The more you talk about me, I'm going to bend my knees. See, that's where I'm at in life. But everybody not like that. But what I have noticed is that some churches have these people in there that are just in there, and the only reason why they are in there are to run the people who want to know God. They want to run them away so that they don't know God. And you know why? So they can fill up the prisons, and they can fill up the welfare system, and they can fill up the hospitals. That's the reason why they want to run you away from the church. But if you're listening to me, let me tell you, do not run away from God. I'm just going to say it like this. They're going to be some stupid people up in the church who really think they smart, who think they're getting over on God, who think they are intimidating you, and they probably are intimidating you because you may not be in the faith where you need to be. And trying times like that should be trying and testing your faith. Be glad that they're trying and testing your faith so you can go in that Bible and see where you need to study more at. That's the way I be looking at it. Every time I hear opposition within the church, within the body itself, I go straight to God. And I was sitting here and I was in my thoughts in the God. My thoughts was in the God. And I was saying, now how can somebody sit up there and say a prayer that they got from somebody's podcast? How do you sit up there? There was a white lady, or Caucasian, however you want to say it, but I know she was white in color. But this woman took T.D. Jakes' whole sermon and repeated it word for word. Now, it might have moved people and broke yokes when T.D. Jakes did it, but how is that edifying the church now that you doing it? Because taking somebody's sermon is not the same as singing somebody's song. Now, we can sing other people's songs all day long. However, we can't sing it like God gave it to the person who wrote it or who sings it themselves. We can't sing it like them, but we can enjoy singing it. But when it comes down to sermons and prayers, the Bible teaches us not to be deceivers, not to have repetitive prayers, not to pray with malice in our hearts. And I heard this woman pray today, and I was like, oh my goodness. Word for word almost. Like, that was... I'm gonna say like this. I go to church because it's my spiritual duty to know what's going on in the kingdom. To get close to God, to fellowship with those who want to fellowship. I don't claim to fellowship with everybody that's in my church. Because first of all, I know you. Okay? I've been knowing you all my life, and nothing about you has changed. If anything, you may have gotten worse. Okay? This is coming from a situation that happened. That's why I'm speaking on this, because a situation happened at church. It didn't necessarily happen to me, but it happened, and I'm not going to be sickened by it, but I will say this. When you go to church, please go to get to know God, and don't treat it like a social club. Do not treat the church like it's your own, because it's not. This is supposed to be God's building. You know, this is supposed to be the place where his people assemble for healing, for, getting to know God. But I see so much darkness is within my home church, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because it's in all churches. And I don't get this the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that, because I certainly have my flaws too. Cause I be doing some things too sometimes that I shouldn't always do. But one thing I don't do is try to intimidate people or try to hurt people that's supposed to be on the same team as I'm on. That's a big problem right there when you got the church divided. You got the church divided up into cliques, and half going this way, half going that way, half don't know where to go. That's division. And division comes from Satan, because God is unity. Now, God will say, separate yourselves and come from among those. But when you see that discord like that up in the church, that is a spirit. That is a demonic spirit in operation. That's what that is. It's a demonic spirit. And some things only can come out through fasting and prayer. And I do believe that this is one of those things that's going to have fasting and prayer. And I'm talking about, because some of these prayers, it got to be in the closet. It got to be in secret so that it can be rewarded openly. Because what I'm seeing is a form of bullying in the church. It's a form of harassment. It's a form of intimidation. Like this woman. I wrote a Facebook post a while ago, and I probably shouldn't have put it like that, but I called it like I see it. This woman, every time I go to church, it never fails. It's like she tries to program my mind that she's going to walk in front of my bench. You know how sometimes you get programmed by things that are repeated over and over? And she's not the best looking woman in the world to be trying to get up in my face like that. But every time she walks by, I don't get mad and I don't look at her, but I happen to look down in her stomach. And God has shown me things before in people's stomach. I have seen parasites in people's stomachs before, just by, I ain't gonna go into that, but when God uses me for certain things, that's just what it is. And I'm not going to go into all that. But anyway, I looked down at her stomach, and today her stomach looked so tumorish. Looked like she got a tumor in her stomach. And as much as I wanted to get upset about her crossing in front of my bench, you got to really step back sometimes and say, Father, forgive them, for they know not. Because when I looked at her and she thought she was doing something right, what I saw, well, nothing right about that. And then another member of our church, I had a dream about her. And I dreamed she had the C word. We all know what the C word is, right? Cancer. Well, I dreamed she had cancer and she was at the hospital and she had this blanket over her and her hair had fell out. Now, did I go visit her at the hospital? No, because I'm one of them people. Some people are called into ministry to go to the hospitals and the nursing homes, and that ain't been me yet. So I don't want to be ahead of God. That hasn't been my ministry yet. My ministry been mostly in speaking and encouraging people. But that hasn't been one. But anyway, I saw it clear as day. And every time I look at that woman when she comes into the church, I just try to pray for her, because these people are so hateful. They don't realize that hate is doing something on the inside of their bodies. That sneakiness is doing things on the inside of their bodies. Like, it ain't just their heart turning black, but it's their entire organs turning black. And I'm not talking about just in the spirit, but I'm talking about in the natural. In the natural. Physical body is turning black and getting sick. While they trying to get other people to get sick and intimidated and scared of them, they don't realize that it's already done to them. And I'm like, does she know that she just did all? One has gained a bunch of weight. The other one has lost weight. And I look at these women and I say, dang, y'all up in y'all 60s acting like this. Acting like children, pure out children. Like, you gotta really fit in. But I understand how society is. So by me having an understanding of how people want to feel wanted and they want to feel like they part of something, they'll join anything. That's the same thing as joining gangs. That's why do people join gangs? They want to feel part of something. The bland life or the boring life is not good enough. They need to be part of something in order for them to feel alive. And that's what I'm seeing. And it's sad, because honestly, once you get so old, especially when you toward the evenings of your life, because we're only promised 75, right? Once you're up in 60, you got a good 15 years to try to live the best of your years, and those years go by fast, because I was just in my 20s and now I'm almost 50. You hear me? Those years go by so fast. So while you out here trying to do something to somebody, it's already done to you. You should be running. If you're able to walk, run, talk, do anything, you should be out here doing good. If you're in the church, you're supposed to be spreading the word of God, the gospel, so that people can get this word, this goodness. Not sitting back trying to stop people from going to church, or only have so many people to go to church. But then the Lord showed me something else too. Today, as I was sitting here in the car, He was showing me that it's not for nothing. There's something that they're trying to gain when you are a threat to them. That's why they come at you, because you're a threat to them. But it's something they're trying to gain that you actually don't have nothing to do with. But because you there, you interrupting their progress. What do I mean by that? Well, if you can keep the church numbers down, eventually a church has to close, right? And when this church closes, what happens? Big time people come in and buy these little churches up. Church becomes divided, closes down. Then you have these road construction companies that come through, build roads. These big, these towns that buy these properties so that they can create parking areas for what's to come, these new stores, so they can bring, boost the economy by knocking another person down. Of course, that's what it is. And if you really take time and see, you'll notice that the pots that sit up in the church, the flower pots, which are what I call is people who sit in the church and really just gather information and intelligence about other people that are there so that they know how to bring down a church, bring down the pastor, bring down the members, get them divided. And they do use government workers, such as social service workers. It wouldn't be the first time that things like this has happened. It would not be the first time. But anyways, I'm not saying, and before anybody goes and say, Miss Coco then said that somebody coming to take over the church. Before anybody go say that, no, I didn't. I did not say that. I said this is what you see happening in a lot of areas, is where they bring in these flower pots, which are people who say they proclaim that they are part of God's kingdom, but really the enemy sent them there to destroy the church, to bring in confusion and chaos. And if a person is not grounded and rooted in the Lord, they will not see this destruction. If they don't have discernment, they'll take it personal. See, I can't take what these people doing personal. I go through even this stuff at my home, with my own family members and things. I can't take it personal because God holds me accountable for that. And you know why? Because I'm one of the teachers. I'm one of the ones that study the Bible, and I come back and tell other people about the Bible and the goodness of God. So he'll hold me accountable for things, like trying to act like I didn't know and getting to a place where I take it real, real personal. No, I'm not taking that junk personal. He told me to give it to him, and that's what I did. I gave it to God. Once I truly gave my issues to God, I was good. That's why I sit up in there now. I go to church now. When I first started going back, and I had been going to church for a long time. I just never reinstated my membership, but I had been started going back around 2013. No, it wasn't. About 2015, I'll say. I had been started going back, but I didn't reinstate my membership until it may have been last year. That's when I reinstated my membership. I didn't come back to the church to act like I was more than anybody or anything like that. But when I came back to the church, I noticed the funny looks and ways that people had. I noticed that. I noticed that they were being funny at certain things. I wasn't getting invited to certain things. Just like I just not found out that they're going to have a luncheon or something for the pastor. Nobody said anything to me about it, but I just found out through somebody else. It wasn't announced at church. So what's the need in doing any announcements if you don't want to announce that the pastor is having a luncheon? I mean, come on. So they don't hide that they don't want me part of nothing. For all they care is that I just show up to church and sit there. So why do I put up with this? Because what did I say? Because I know better. I don't take it personal. I studied these spirits and how they move about, so I don't take them personal. I can't let them hinder my walk with God or move me from a place he told me to go to. Because if he had not told me to go to this church, go back to church, I would be, probably just staying at home or going somewhere else. But I don't take it personal. I ain't say I won't talk about you now, because I will. Not in a gossiping way, but I will say what I gotta say. But I don't take it personal, so I go to church, and I'm not just sitting there. I'm actually learning. I'm learning a lot. Believe it or not, I am learning a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to know, a lot to learn, and I'm still amazed. I tell you what, I find more joy and amazement at how the Bible reveals itself in the church than anything. I really do. Everything that's going on, it's already in the Bible. And when I see it acting out in real life, I'm like, I studied that. The Word of God told me how to handle this. And that's the way I handle it, with grace. Grace and mercy. Grace and mercy. Pastor talked about grace today. It's not earned. And that's what people think. They think their good deeds or their good voices is earning their way to heaven. Or, I don't even think some people even know why they are working down here on earth for God. I don't think they know. Some of them don't. At least they act like they don't know, because if they really truly trusted and believed in God. And I didn't see the one guy. I didn't see him. Kind of. Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I almost said it, but just put it like this: just let people be people, and you're gonna be all right. But there is a time to speak up for yourself. You need to speak up to yourself, to people, when they are wronging you. But you have to pray about it too. Or if you're in that moment, you go ahead and speak up for yourself. Don't carry that weight that they're trying to put on you. They trying to put pressure. You see, that's one thing about the devil. The devil puts pressure on God's people. He wants you to bust. He wants you to get upset. He wants you to hit somebody. He wants you to go to jail, okay? He wants to take your freedom away spiritually and physically. And that's why he sent his little minions at you. The minions just come. The minions, like the woman who always crosses in front of me. She always, this is every time that I go to church, her and her daughter. This is how they do. One Sunday they'll sit on the bench in front of me. Like, it's right there in front of me. And the next time I come to church, they'll walk right across in front of me like they're going to get a fan or something. And I'm like, you have a whole hallway. There's a whole walkway, and you choose to cross in front of the bench. You stupid. You stupid. You look stupid to me. Because you don't have to cross in front of me every time you want a fan, when we've got this much walkway. So that lets me know they're doing it on purpose. And that's just a form of, trying to, I guess, harass me. But you can't make me feel bad about harassment when your husband doing all kind of stuff. You doing all kind of stuff. I'm not going to feel bad about that. You know what I'm saying? Your family ain't all that. You not all that. So I'm not going to feel intimidated by people who I know ain't doing much better. You may have more money than me. You may have the nicer cars. You may get the invites. But baby, I got peace. I got peace of mind. When I go to sleep at night, I got peace of mind. I'm not worried about where my husband at, who he talking to. And he got a problem too. And one of his deep-seated problems. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there because I don't want to go there out of wrong turns. But it's a lot of sick people in our church. I'm just going to say that, okay? It's a lot of sick people that go to the church I go to. And none of it is by coincidence. No, none of it is. And, but yes, and it's okay to be angry, but sin not. It's okay to be angry about the things people do to you, but don't help them do it to you. That's what I'm getting at. Don't help people hurt you. I just don't like when people do certain things. I don't like it. But I can't change it. And all I can say is stay in that word of God. You gotta stay there. You gotta stay there because these people, they're on assignment. They're on assignment. They are on assignment with fake prayers. Oh my, that's why some of the people still don't feel good, them fake prayers. Look, if somebody praying to God and they not sincere and they out here doing other evil things to people, do you think God is going to answer their prayers? The only prayer he will take from them is a prayer of repentance. Now you hear people say, yes, God did answer my prayer, and I ain't say. That could have been the devil answered your prayer. Because if you out here and you're not a believer of Christ, he really is not. He's going to hear you whenever there is a repentant prayer. And that's a lot to get into, so I won't get into that. But as far as you just running around here thinking you control God, you do not control God. You do not move God, because it's impossible to move God without faith. Without faith, you're not going to... No. You got to have faith. And with faith, you got to put action to that. You got to put action to it. And I see it's time for, well, I'm not going to say that either. See, it's a lot of things I know that really should be discussed, but first of all, y'all not the person to discuss it with, and second of all, I need to stay in my place on that, because to whom much is given, much got to be done. Much is required, which means you got to be a doer. And so I'm not going to go that route. But anyways, I just got upset a little bit about, I'm not taking it personal. That's why I'm not talking about, because it didn't even happen to me, but it's the way I was told that it went down, and who knows, I may even need to hear both sides of the story. But from what I do know and what I have experienced, is it's not hard to believe how hateful those people are. It's turning from dislike to hate. These are now hate crimes from church on church members. Church on church members. That's what it is. It's a bunch of bullying. And please don't come up to me with your games and stuff, because I'm humble. I'm slow to anger. But you got to understand, I've been slow for the last about 3 years. So my reaction is time. In other words, it's time for a reaction. But sad. Just sad to see people so sadistic. I know we need members, but I know everybody ain't perfect. But really, what makes one really dislike each other like that when you're in the church? I mean, I'm thinking it's threats. And what kind of threat would that be? Would be threats of trying to prove themselves to external people. That's what I would have to say it was. Because it's a lot of people out here too that are victims of the community mobbing. Really victims. Real victims of community mobbing. And because of that, these community members are in the church. They're community, but they're in the church. And that's the sad part, is that it's the church that's leading the wars. It is the church that's leading the division. Well, let me say the people that's in the church. Some of the leaders and things in the church are the ones responsible for all this division. They are the ones that people look up to, and if they see a preacher doing it, they're going to say, okay, well, it's okay to do it. No matter what the Bible says, if my preacher doing it, then I can do it too. That's how they're going to be. And then they're going to act just like that. And then some of them, like I said, they were industry plants anyway. They were planted there by Satan to destroy the church. And so far the church is holding on. Might only have a few members, but it's holding on. But I see that they are trying to get more organized at their attacks. But God says not so in this season. But I do got to pray for those two individuals. No, actually it's 3. It's 2 women. No, it's 4. It's 3 women and a man. No, 5. 6. 4 women and 2 men. I saw 6 people at the church that are really sick. And if they know it, I don't know, but they're sick. I saw this in the spirit. And this isn't the first time I've seen it. And you know how God keep coming back to you with it? He keep bringing it back to you. Every time you try to get away from it, and he keeps bringing it back to you. So this time, I'm going to do it, Lord. I'm going to pray. Because there's no way it's these same 6 every time. These same 6. These 4 women and 2 men. Every time. So I'm going to pray for them. Despite how they do me, I am going to pray for them because I don't believe they have reprobated minds. They're not to that extent yet. They're not that far gone. But they gone. They gone. They love doing the sneaky works for the devil. They love that part. They love that. I never even really realized them people were that dark. Never would have thought nothing about it. But I did know I always felt a certain strange feeling when I would walk in the church. But I never questioned God about it or asked him to show me anything. And I think really he didn't show me until I matured enough to handle it. And because I know one time before I used to just be bad about blurting stuff out. But now I just kind of wait a while and see what happens. Or see if God says, okay, now it's time. Yeah. But anyway, y'all, it's Sunday. I'm going to have, let me tell y'all what I'm going to have for dinner. I'm going to have me some steamed dumplings for dinner. It's chicken and veggie. These are, how much protein? 15 grams of protein? Oh, I wish I would have been known about this. I would have been eating these. 15 grams of protein, that's not bad at all. And I like dumplings too. Okay, and it got dumpling sauce. I got these from the Family Dollar. Not sure how much they was, but that's going to be my dinner for tonight. And I took the girls out earlier at the church. And that's one of the reasons, too, why I think I was talking a lot about how the deceitful and the deceivers in the church and the mockers in the church, because my granddaughters are little. They're at the age now where they're soaking in everything that they're seeing people doing. And if they see these people saying, well, I'm church people, but then they see you treating people wrong, you're not finna confuse my granddaughters. So I let them know right quick. If I see somebody doing wrong, I tell them, look, that's not the right way to do that. They are, this is what you call a hypocrite, because that's what they are. They're hypocrites. And what makes them be a hypocrite is because they're not, they saying one thing out their mouth and doing another thing with their actions. Ooh, being deceitful, hateful. That's all it is to it. So that's what makes them a hypocrite. And let me tell y'all something. You don't got to go to church to be a hypocrite. Anybody can be a hypocrite. Just look up the definition of what a hypocrite is, okay? But, yeah. But I have to speak to my granddaughters and I have to tell them the truth. See, nobody didn't tell me the truth. When I was growing up, a lot of stuff was hid from us. They kept it swept under the rugs about how, because when we would try to address how people were treating us wrong, we would get told, be quiet, don't say nothing. That's what we were told. And so as we grew up, we found it okay to be in the church playing with God because others was too. But that's not okay. It's not okay to be that. Because people out here dying every day from depression, anxiety, sickness. You know, people out here fighting their demons every day, strongholds. But as long as you play in the church, you're never delivered from that stuff. So that's what we were taught, to really let people get away with things that if we had been the age enough, we could, well, I would speak up. Yeah, I stayed in trouble. I stayed in trouble because I would speak up, and my granddaughters remind me of me because, especially Kyra. I think Kyra's got my boldness because she speaks up. When somebody does her wrong, she speaks up. And she told me how this teacher was trying to lead her astray on some thinking. And I told her, and Lord forgive me for what I said, what I called the teacher. But anyway, forgive me, God. And I got to talk to Kyra on that. but the teacher was trying to lead her astray, and she stood her ground on what she believed. And I said, baby, you were right. Now let's back it up so we can find it and back it up. And we found it together what she believed in, and she saw that she was right and the teacher was wrong. So I was one that would speak up. Like when we would be at church sometime in the food line, they would have us go all the way to the end of the line, and they would let the more popular families go in front of us. And so one day I speaks up and say, hey, that's not right. We was here first. And the cafeteria ladies got so mad at me. And from then on, they was just really, they wasn't nice to me from then on when they were serving me food. They didn't start getting back nice to me till I started getting older. That's how long they held them grudges, because I spoke up as a child. And you know what? As a child of God, I'm going to be hated for things I say. And I know that now. But yeah, so much was hidden back in the day. Couldn't speak up. We was on mute. Silent. And all that did was raise a bunch of bullies. All that did was cause the bully population to increase in the church. Because nobody never said anything to these people who were bullying people. But back then, they was out loud about it. Today, they're indirect with it, but you know it's geared toward you. But you can't call them out because they don't necessarily say it directly to you. So therefore, you can't call it out and say, hey, so-and-so did this or said this to me. Now, there was an incident I did not like at all. I'm not going to say it because, again, it wasn't my incident. But if I had been there, I would have said something about that. Because ain't no man got no business putting his hands on no woman at all. Especially over music. Come on now. Come on now. That's not right. But anyways, now is the time to start teaching children to speak up for themselves. Don't let these people get away with it. Because some of the same people they tell you to be quiet on, these are some of the same people that come along and take the younger girls and molest them. Or either some of the women might show them how to trick. Show them how to become prostitutes and whores. So if you don't speak up for your children and you don't let them know when somebody is doing wrong, then don't be surprised if they grow up and choose the world side. Because you didn't tell them better and because you didn't protect them. And it's my duty as their grandmother who knows right from wrong to protect them in these vulnerable years. To protect them and, teach them the right way. Show them the right way. Not just teach, but show them the right way. And that means being vulnerable with them, letting them know that I'm not always there, but, you know, wrong is wrong, y'all. Some things just wrong. Well, I wish somebody would come tell me not to use my phone. I know that much. Because I sure would look right at them and be like, really? And I ain't even going, look, I almost went childish and was like, well, you ain't pay my bill, you ain't pay my... No, it ain't all about that. It's like from one adult to another. What gives you the right, what makes you so superior that you think I'm supposed to do what you say? You ain't no king. We don't bow. We bow down to the one true king, which is Jesus. We don't bow to people like that. That's why you don't uplift people. That's why when, like, you see these people, they be singing so good in church, you go praising these people, putting them up on a pedestal. You don't realize these people got a life outside of the church that has nothing to do with God. Has nothing to do with God. So the only reason why some people there is because they get a check. They need their extra money. They got habits. That's why some people still in church. Yeah. Anyways, y'all, I've talked enough. I'm finna go and hope this podcast finds you in the best state of mind you can be. Don't let people bully you. Do what you gotta do to protect yourself. Because if you are a good person at heart, and every time you start doing something good, they start coming with the threats and you know, just doing everything they can to cause division and discord. No, that ain't from God. Don't stop doing what you are supposed to do, what you are called to do. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Don't, if God ain't told you to move, don't move. Don't run from these people. Because these people, if you run from them, they're going to have you running all your life. You'll be running from stores. You see them in the store, you got to run out so you don't have to deal with them. You see them in a restaurant, you got to run out so you don't have to deal with them. No, you sometimes you got to see your bully for who they are. I'm talking about church bullies. Now, I'm not talking about the ones out here in the street, but sometimes you just got to see your bully for who it is. You got to call their bluff. What you going to do if I do record? You know... It's sickening, the things people do and say. Okay, y'all. Peace, love, and happiness.